So if you want to see how I made the green team's fish croquette with apple and fennel slaw, keep on watching.
So the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 180 degrees, and then I've washed my potatoes here. I'm just going to go through and just prick them all with a fork. Now I've done the other ones already. Now you're just going to put these in the oven until they're cooked all the way through and nice and soft. It's going to take around an hour. In the oven they go. Okay, for the spice mix, I've got all my spices laid out here. With the cinnamon, I already went and broke it up into small pieces because if I left it whole, it might actually chip the blade on my little food processor once I go to blend this into a powder. We're going to get this in a pan, get it toasted off, and then we'll come back. Okay, so on the stove, I just had it on a medium heat. You don't want to toast your spices off like this on a high heat because they go from not burnt to extremely burnt in about 1 second. Put this into my little food processor here without trying to spill it everywhere, which, hey, this might work. Once you get it all in the food processor, I'm going to set this aside till it cools down before we blitz it into a powder. My potatoes are ready. That was a little bit quicker than an hour, but to tell they're ready, you pierce it in. If it goes in without any resistance, they'll be cooked all the way through. So I'm going to let these cool down before I scoop out the flesh. So my spices have cooled down, so I'm going to blitz these into a powder. A spice grinder would work a lot better here, but it should be fine. Learn from my mistakes and let this completely cool down before you grind it. I didn't, and it kind of started clumping together, but it worked out okay in the end, I guess. But you're looking for a nice fine consistency and yeah, a little something like that. Next we're going to jump onto the fish. Now they use barramundi. I can't get my hands on that here, but I can get my hands on this Atlantic cod, which is a very similar fish, so the internet says, to barramundi. So we're just going to go ahead and season this with salt and pepper. Obviously, we're going to do by the sides. Okay, so I've got a pan over medium heat. I'm just going to melt down some butter. Okay, once your butter's melted, you just want to place in your fish. So you want to cook this fish just about 90% of the way through, so nearly all the way cooked, but not quite. And you just want to keep your eye on the temperature of the pan. Make sure it doesn't get too hot so your butter doesn't burn. Should only take about, 5 minutes or so. Okay, so my fish is about 90% of the way cooked. I'm just going to reduce the pan to low heat and I'm going to remove the fish and set it aside onto a plate. Okay, I'm going to add the remaining butter to the pan. Now again, it might look like a lot of butter, but I am doubling the mixture here. So, okay, to the pan, got to go ahead and add the shallot and the garlic as well. And we're just going to get this cooking down in all the butter till the shallots are nice and translucent. Okay, once your shallots are nice and translucent, you just want to turn your heat up a little bit and you're going to add your spice mix to the pan. We'll give that a little mix in and we're just going to cook this out till it's nice and fragrant. Should only take about a minute or so. Okay, once your spices are nice and fragrant, I'm going to go ahead, add in your parsley and your dill, and you just want to cook these off for a few minutes until they get nice and soft. Okay, once your herbs are nice and softened, you want to remove it from the heat and set it aside. To peel the potatoes, I just got the potato. I just make a little cut, we'll scrape the skin back, and I just peel off the skin. And then I just put it in the bowl, and I just break it up. But I don't want to break it up into, into mashed potato. You still want some chunks of potato, just like that. So I've gone ahead and I've done that to the rest of them, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients here. Okay, also to the potatoes, I'm going to get the fish. And we're also going to just flake apart the fish, making sure to leave this also, some chunky bits. At this stage, I would leave them a lot bigger chunks than you think, because as we add the rest of the ingredients, we're going to be mixing this through, so it will break up more. Just be mindful of that, I would say. Okay, also to this bowl, we're going to add the aromatic butter we just cooked off in the pan. We're also going to add some cream to this. We're also going to add some lemon zest. And we're going to season this generously with salt and pepper. Okay, now we're going to mix all this together. Now once it's all mixed up, I just tried to make a ball out of it to see how it's coming together, and my mixture seems a little bit wet. So I'm just going to add 1/4 cup of panko breadcrumbs. I'm just going to mix that through, and that should tighten the mixture up just a little bit. You don't have to weigh out your mixture, you can also do it by eye. I weighed my mixture out, so all my balls are exactly even. And my mixed weight would come out to around 100 grams each, and that would make around 12 balls. So I'm just going to go ahead and portion these out, get them rounded into balls, then I'll show you the breading setup. So I've got my breading station set up here. I've got some all-purpose flour, I guess any flour would use, and I'm going to season generously with salt. Then I've got some eggs that I've beaten up, and I put a little bit of water in there just to make sure to thin them out a little bit. Then I've got a tray filled with panko breadcrumbs. So you want to cut the bowl in flour, and then tap off the excess, And you're going to roll it through the egg and let the excess drip off, and then into the panko breadcrumbs. The balls are quite soft, so I'm just gently pressing them in and giving them a bit of a final shape here. And then we'll actually grab a little bit of the panko and we'll spread it on the dish that we're going to be placing them in, and we're going to put them aside. So we're going to go through and crumb all the balls exactly the same way. Okay, to make the mayonnaise, very simple. I got a whole egg and an egg yolk in my container here. Now I'm going to pour in all of the oil. Then I'm going to stick my immersion blender in on high speed, and then as it starts to emulsify, I'm just going to slowly draw up. This is the base mayonnaise, and now we're going to flavour it up. To the mayo, we're going to add some lemon juice. Going to add some lemon zest. Going to add some dill. Going to add some sriracha. Going to add some brown sugar, some black pepper, and some salt. So, immersion blender back in, and we're going to blend this till it's nice and mixed up. And I almost forgot, I add a couple of tablespoons of the spice mix we made before. Now we mix to combine. Okay, once it's mixed up, you're going to give it a taste. And for me, I'm going to add a little bit more salt. Alright, we'll mix that through, and then we'll set it aside till we're ready to use it. Okay, for the green apple and fennel slaw, I've already chopped up my apple and fennel into little matchsticks. Fennel's in the bottom there somewhere. Anyway, put that to the side for a minute. Now for the dressing, we got lemon juice and olive oil. So we're just going to put those into a container, and then we're going to blend this with my immersion blender until it's emulsified. So we'll go ahead and give it a taste. That's another way to tell if something's got a good emulsification to it. It shouldn't taste oily. It should be nice and smooth, just like that. So now we're back to the fennel and the apple. I'm just going to give it a little sprinkle of salt, and we're going to pour the dressing all over. And we're just going to give it a good mix through. For me, I'm going to give it a bit more salt, then we'll mix that through, and then we'll set it aside till it's time to plate. Okay, I got my wok with some oil in it, heated to around 180 degrees. Now I'm just going to slowly lower my balls in and fry for about 3 minutes, or until nicely golden brown. So when you're frying in a wok, as opposed to a deep fryer, you want to keep the balls moving around a little bit, because obviously it's going to be a lot hotter on the bottom than on the top, and you will get dark spots. So if you want a nice even browning, keep your balls moving. Okay, so after 3 minutes, and your balls are nicely golden brown, you want to remove them to a plate lined with some paper towel, and then immediately hit them with some salt. Okay, now we go on and fry the rest. So finger limes in Austria are super expensive, so I just got a lime, cut some wedges, and then sliced it up into little pieces. That's a little hack. So let's get after this slaw, see how we did. Bright, zingy, but we're here for the star of the show, and for that, we don't need knife and fork. So the spice rub that we made at the start, that goes into, you know, the croquette and the mayonnaise, absolutely makes this dish amazing. I'll be using this rub on a few more things in the future.